I believe that Tai Lung and Syndrome demonstrate the fragility of society and morality better than any other character and any other villain in the history of cinema. So last night I'm watching TikToks in bed and I see some absolutely banging, heated edits of Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda and Syndrome from The Incredibles, of course. They're heaters, they're incredible. And my wife and I are having a discussion about cartoon villains, and I had said how sometimes these animated villains are better depictions of like evil or human nature than the real life interpretations. I don't know. I feel like sometimes you can be more creative in animation than you can with people. Anyways, the debate what I was having in my head, because does my wife want to hear this? No, was how I believe Tai Lung and Syndrome reveal the danger of a purpose built on acceptance, and their portrayals of that in their respective movies, Kung Fu Panda, Incredibles, demonstrates like kind of what's happening in society today. So I just kind of had some thoughts. I want to talk about it. So some villains in general are just driven by specific goals or greed, whether it be world domination, or just wanting to be a king or fill a void, kind of like Loki in the Avengers, right? But others are driven by like ideology, which is also like a scary thing, or they have like a thought in their head, like Thanos, who thinks that the world is overpopulated, and in order to maximize resources, he needs to have this magical gauntlet which snaps people in half, even though that same gauntlet could double the resources, but that's neither said or done, whatever, okay? But I think that villains like Tai Lung from Kung Fu Panda and Syndrome from The Incredibles are the most scary type of villains because they are unbelievably relatable, right? Now you would say that okay, like the story of Tai Lung, it's obvious, like a child can understand his motivations. I accept that, but I think the deeper like thing what people don't understand about it is how relatable it like truly is, and it's actually scary because of that, right? Because both characters, Tai Lung and Syndrome, at one point were going to produce net positives onto the world. Okay, so he wanted to be the Dragon Warrior. He trained hard to be somebody who was going to protect and serve his community. But the thing about this was the training, the sacrifice, and the commitment to being that Dragon Warrior. It wasn't based on wanting to be a good person and wanting to help. It was basically based upon the desire to be validated by Shifu, right? And also, I guess, by that society as being the Dragon Warrior, but being wanted and being accepted. So it's kind of scary to me when you look at how that reflects upon society about this notion of, okay, you work hard and you do these things, you should get this prize, and this prize will make you validated and like it will be worth it. And then what happens if you don't get the prize and how easily you break and become the villain, right? And it all comes down to this like principled idea, which is purpose without principle. I said principle too much, but effectively think about it from Talong's perspective, right? He did everything he was told to become great. And think about the metaphor that is for society. So for Tai Lung, he trained relentlessly, he mastered Kung Fu, he embodied discipline in every possible way you could. It's the same as a kid being told and being promised you get good grades, you work hard, you learn an instrument, learn a second language, go to after school clubs, volunteer, do everything right. You'll get into that amazing college and you get that good degree. You'll get a job and you'll get paid and you'll have a comfortable life and all that stuff. And then that kid getting to the point where he gets that degree, he's riddled with debt. And then he opens his eyes and he's like, oh my God, it's all a lie. There's an unemployment crisis, there's a cost of living crisis. And how quickly that can make someone break into thinking that the world is out to get them and the world isn't fair. Like it really is scary, the parallels, in my opinion, and how accurate the depiction is, right? And then on the Syndrome side, he was devoted to invention, to intelligence, and an admiration of Mr. Incredible, because he admired superheroes. On paper, Tai Lung and Syndrome, there were people who were like, set to help people, right? Like they were set to be heroes, they're set to be a net positive in the world. And then, with Syndrome being, it being an admiration of a person and then that reality shattering when he's not accepted, we see that today all the time. I mean, we see people who build up these ideas, whether it be with relationships or with mentors, or kind of the same concept of like, oh, if you do everything to be accepted into a social group, or a network or whatever it may be, and you don't ever feel accepted, like how it causes people to lash out and break. And it's because I believe, you know, we're in an era right now of like kind of hyper everything. Like, like this almost speed run culture, this almost like perfectionist culture in every single category, right? And Syndrome demonstrates that, where you could feel like you've done every single thing perfect, but the reality is this culture of actual like perfectionism, it's not real, because the people who are like from the top kind of narrating these like messages of do X, Y, and Z, they're just kind of most of the time shilling for money or views. I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, right? But my main overriding point is that neither Tai Lung or Syndrome wanted to be good. They wanted to have a title, have status, or have recognition, right? The goodness, what would have happened if they did get the validation, would have been incidental. It would have been a byproduct of achieving their goal, not the like foundation of their goal, right? And where is the existential threat in their lives, and how they ended up becoming villains, and how this kind of relates to society? Rejection is the existential threat. When Tai Lung was denied the Dragon Scroll, it's more than a professional setback. It was a collapse of his entire identity, right? And to be honest, I think Tai Lung is a better demonstration of like how fragile human nature is than Syndrome, because yeah, like I was saying, it's not like you were. It's not like, okay, you didn't get that promotion, boo hoo. It's that your entire soul, your entire being, like your everything has just fallen in on itself, and you open up your eyes to it's all a lie. I think everybody can relate to that to an extent in today's day and age. I don't know. I don't think I'm crazy by saying that. When Uguay denies him the ability to be the Dragon Warrior, it's not Uguay saying it's not you. All Tai Lung is hearing is that he is nothing, right? Because he's seeing, especially when he sees Pao become a Dragon Warrior and what his life could have been, and and he's put away in this prison, and he hears these stories. It's the same way how people today are looking on social media from a distance, from their like not prison, but from their little cocoon, what the world is and what they could have had if certain things went their way. But the reality is, most of those people did everything right. It just unfortunately didn't work out, because that's kind of just how the world is right now, right? So, anyways, like the overriding point I want to make is like the illusion of moral stability, right? The deeper lesson in both the stories of Syndrome and in Tai Lung is that they didn't possess internal moral anchors. Their ethics and their like goodness was contingent upon being validated. And I think that we're perpetrating these sentiments in, our children, boys, girls, adults today, right? That you almost get viewed as a good person for doing things, but if the foundation is, you know being viewed as good is high status, right? The internal foundation isn't that, you're actually a good person. You're just doing something. It's selfishly being good. I don't know. I don't think it's a pure representation of being a good person. But then if that's the foundation we're setting, of course a rejection is going to destroy that little bit of fragility that they had about moral character, and it is going to take you down a dark path. So overall, that is my analysis and my feelings towards why I feel like Tai Lung and Syndrome are an accurate representation of the fragility of society. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe. Thank you. Yeah.